All right. Hello again, everyone. I know we still have people that are trickling in the room, but I do want to welcome you all to our Texas Virtual Academy Hallsville meet and greet. My name is Andrea Wilson. I am a recruiting operations specialist with K12, and I work out of our Herndon office. Again, if this is your first time joining us, please feel free to state your name, where you're from in the chat box, what you want to get out of this session, and once we get to the time where we ask questions or whatnot, we'll open the floor. But for right now, make sure that your microphone is on mute. If you want to be on camera, you can. If not, you can just click the camera button on your bar. It should be either at the top of your screen or bottom of your screen to be off camera. But again, we want to welcome you all to our Texas Virtual Academy Hallsville meet and greet. Before we get started, I just want to let you know who our school representatives are from our school. So we have our elementary principal, Kyla Pickrell, along with Chelsea Putstein, Rosalind Petrie, and please forgive me if I've mispronounced your name wrong. Charge it to my head, not my heart. We also have our middle school principal, Daphne Troxel. We also have one of our teachers, middle school teachers, Audrey Phipps. We have our high school principal, Yvonne Saynow, and Amanda Burdick. And I believe we also have a few other Texas representatives in the room as well. So you'll be hearing from those people sometime today. And before we introduce the school, I just want to just give a brief overview of who K12 is. Now, this is our mission statement as well as our values, but as far as K12, we help students reach their full potential through inspired teaching and personalized learning. Now, if you see me looking back and forth, I have two screens. And also our values, we basically value impact, and you see PACT capitalized because we try to display this to our families by embodying passion, accountability, courage, and trustworthiness. Now, a little bit more about K12. K12 is one of the leading providers of online curriculum and support services, and we support grades K through 12. We were started in 2000, so we've been around for about 20 years now. We're headquartered in Herndon, Virginia, which is about 25 miles outside of Washington, D.C., and I actually work in our headquarter office, which is in Herndon, Virginia. And as far as K12, K12 team has developed a comprehensive program that is designed to exceed national and state education standards. And our basic goal is to provide children with an education that is comparable or superior to that provided of the nation's best public and private schools. So a little bit about how does virtual teaching work? I am going to ask one of our principals from our Texas school to just give us a little bit of information about the virtual teaching process, and it talks about our teachers as well as our students. I'm going to call on Daphne. If you could just touch on that, and let me also make sure that the PowerPoint is actually enrolling. 1 second.
Okay. As she's getting that loading, welcome everyone. My name is Daphne Troxel. I am the middle school principal. I've had the privilege of working for K12 10 years. Started in Arizona and now I'm here in Texas and I love it. So talking about how virtual teaching works is just awesome. To see this many people in here and to see you all here is so wonderful. So for our students, they work from home across the state. So we have students all over, and they complete a combination of both real-time work with the teachers, and they do some asynchronous. So the students will be working in their class, and they also work in a live session where they're able to interact with their fellow peers. They're able to interact with their teacher and do some other activities, and they all have the support of a learning coach. The amount of work that our learning coach does, it depends on the grade level. And Miss Pickerel, who's our elementary school principal, can share a little more, but in the elementary school level, it's a little more intensive because they're working a little bit closer with them. And then as they get up into high school, you see those students become more independent, for lack of a better word, and they're able to handle their classwork a little bit better. For our teachers, so our teachers teach live sessions through a platform. This year we used Blackboard Collaborate, but we're so excited. We're moving to a new platform. We're using Neuro, where we'll be able to interact with them just like you do in a regular brick and mortar. They're able to write on the board. They're able to interact with the students. You're able to see their work. As a previous math teacher, that was exciting to me because I love seeing them work on their problems and see the work, not just the answers. But you have lots of interactions in that live class. Also, you obviously have grading, calling families, and planning time because that's super important. You're still a full-time teacher. You're still doing a lot of the activities that you do in the brick and mortar. But it is transferred into the virtual environment. So instead of meeting in person for staff meetings, we have virtual staff meetings, and sometimes we get together and things like that. So it's really exciting to see that implementation and how you can interact and be close with your fellow peers. It is a full-time job. So I do like to clarify that because this is a question we get a lot. They're like, can I just do it in the evenings? I will tell you, it is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and our teachers, they do a lot of work because they're teaching live sessions, they're working with the kids, they're supporting the kids, they're holding extra sessions for students who might be struggling. So RTI type intervention sessions, they're working on standards remediation. There's just a lot of pieces that go into it. So it is a full-time job. So I just want to clear that up because that's a question we get a lot. We do have an amazing curriculum from K12. K12 is a wonderful provider in that sense. They give us a curriculum that is based on the standards, but when it comes down to the actual teaching, we really focus in on those standards, and we want to make sure that you're going in there and you're remediating based off the student data. So it's, while you have curriculum provided, you still get to make lesson plans, you're still teaching lessons, you're still doing all the things that you think of when you think of a teacher, you're still addressing and differentiating and all of those pieces. So that's a quick synopsis of how virtual teaching works.
Thanks, Daphne. So we're going to, oh, was someone else saying something on the mic?
It was just me. Hello, everyone. I'm Keisha. I am Drea's co-host today. Daphne gave such good information. I thought now might be a good time to discuss also the Texas certification and where you have to live. The question that I'm sure all officially 101 of you in here would probably have that question. So I do know Catherine is coming on, so I was hoping she could address that as well.
Isha, you read my mind. I was actually going to throw that right there in the bottom because it is so important alongside the, working full time and being available from 8 to 5. All of us that have worked in administration at this school came from a brick and mortar setting. And just to piggyback off of what Daphne said, as an educator, everything that you can do in a brick and mortar classroom, you can translate it to a virtual classroom. And I think if you're in education and you've been in education during COVID, you've probably learned quite quickly that is definitely a real possibility. One of the things that you can't coach, though, is that student connection. And that is something that is very special to our environment, is learning how to build that connection and that relationship, because as teachers, we all know that is what really drives improvement and growth in student academics. I'm Catherine Groven. I'm the head of school for Texas Virtual Academy, and I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to speak about our school to all of you today. This moving into school year 2021, this will be our third year. Hi, Maria. This will be our third year of this school being here in Texas. We currently serve students in grades 3 through 12. Currently, we have 7,500 students, but moving into next school year, we will have 10,000 students across the state of Texas that we'll be able to support. Now, that is not the norm for K-12. We are one of the largest K-12 schools in the nation moving into next year, and our population is incredibly unique. And when I say that we have the opportunity to support them, our vision is to reach students where they are and grow them through data and through relationships to make them successful. And we really have a heart for all of our 10,000 students. Currently, we have about 350 staff. As you can imagine, growing to 10,000, we're looking to increase that by about 150. So although there are so many here, we need so many more. I know that Drea and Keisha are going to show you some of the openings that we have at this school level during this time together. But I do want you to know that what you see will not be the final list. So please keep checking back. Please, as Drea and Megan and Keisha reach out, know that what you see is our starting point. So if you feel like this is a good fit for you, continue to check back through the months of June and July, because we definitely want and need the very best in Texas. Keisha mentioned certification and addresses, because it is a big deal. In order to be a teacher at Texas Virtual Academy or any of the K-12 powered schools in Texas, you do have to be certified in Texas in the course and the grade levels that you want to teach. Another requirement is that you have to live in Texas. You have to be a Texas resident in order to ensure that your mics are muted. That would be really helpful. You do have to be a resident of Texas. We serve Texas students, so it is important to our school that we have Texas teachers that we work with. I believe, and I've gotten a couple chats about it, so I just want to touch on it while we're here. Right now, I believe that you're going to see just some of the teacher openings that we have. But yes, as we grow and as we are growing, we will be opening up student support advisor positions as well as some counseling positions that I know some of you may be interested in. So yes, if you do not see those here, know that they will be forthcoming over the next few weeks. We connect with our staff professionally through professional development and outings. A lot of those, especially at this point, with the current state of things, are virtual, but we do like to have in-person professional development opportunities most of the time in our Louisville offices, usually 2 to 3 times. So although you do work from home, there are some in-person requirements, again, given the state of things tentatively, that we will require for our teachers to attend. We will have openings for pretty much everything due to our growth. And again, like I said, fun facts, we are going to become one of the largest schools in K-12, but our passion and our vision is that personal connection with instruction for our students. Another just cool thing about us is we work with an incredible population of students, but we partner with an incredible school district, Hallsville ISD in far East Texas. They are an A-rated district and expect nothing less than excellence in education. So for our students, for our partners, we definitely need the best. So if you feel like that you would be a good fit, we look forward to speaking with you further. Keisha and Andrea, thank you so much for letting me be a part of your time today.
Thank you, Catherine. Now, again, as she was stating earlier about the different positions, before we open up for questions, I'm just going to show the positions that we do have listed right now. And again, as we open more positions, we will have those on our website. But I did want to just show what we currently have. And if any of our representatives wanted to speak on any of the postings that we currently have, you can do so now. If you'd like, you can hop on the microphone before we open up for questions.
Hi, I'm Kyla Pickrell. I am the elementary principal here at TIVA. I have several positions open in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And at 3rd and 4th grade, we teach self-contained. So we look for that primarily the EC through 6 generalist position. And we teach the core classes. And so we have a smaller number of students, and we teach a little of all of our classes. And we have that relationship building opportunity, and we monitor the data and adjust for those kiddos. And then at 5th grade, you'll either teach math science or you'll teach ELA social studies in the openings that I currently have. And you're in a more pod system, so you and a partner teacher. So if you're ELA social studies, you're partnered with a math science teacher, and you each have a group of homeroom kids assigned to you, and then you flip-flop and teach each other's kiddos. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for in the openings that I currently have. And a little bit about me, I've been here, this is my 7th year at K12. It is an amazing opportunity. We love what we do here, and believe it or not, sometimes you get even closer to your K12 family, even being virtually, than you did your brick and mortar people that you taught with. So even though you teach virtually, you have an amazing environment, and one of the main things I hear my teachers say is how supported they feel all the time. So it is a wonderful place to work, and we love to see how some of you might be able to fit into our wonderful K12 family.
Thanks, Kyla.
Thanks, Kyla. Hi, everyone. This is Yvonne Sino. I'm the high school principal, and I'm going on my 3rd year with K12. I did see that a question came in through chat from Irish Dyer, and it was in regards to the science opening. We are going to have, so right now these are just generic openings. You'll see the same thing is done with history, but we are going to need to fill multiple content areas. So for science, we will be looking for a biology teacher, a physics teacher, environmental science, chemistry. So that is, we just left it open because we are going to need a little bit of everything since our campus is just growing so exponentially. So we're very excited. As Catherine said earlier, we're looking for the very best out there. We're looking for the right fit for our team, for the right fit for this environment. So I'm very excited to have all of you in here. And Kayla, I just saw you ask about CTE courses. We do offer a few right now, but we're very excited about next year. We're going to officially launch our DCA, which is the Destinations Career Academy, which will focus on CTE career pathways. So we're going to expand our offerings in that area as well. AP courses, we're currently offering, I believe it is government and world history is on tap for next year. Government for sure. I may have spoken too soon on the history, but on the world history, but I know it is another history. Latin, no, we do not.
So there was a question about PE. This is probably one of my favorite, but Chelsea is in here, and she is the elementary school AP, and she taught PE. So I figured she could probably share best with you just quickly how PE works.
So PE is a fun one. So you definitely get on the webcam a lot. You demonstrate those movements. The online school has a weekly agenda for the kids to follow depending on what the TEKs are. So it might be ball handling skills. They're provided with some of the materials they need. They make up jump rope routines. They show off their tricks, and you let them get on the webcam and show off. We also do a lot of short video clips that they can share with one another. But the state of Texas does also require them to keep PE logs. They're required to have 150 minutes of physical activity every week. So they turn in their PE logs, and we give grades based on those as well to make sure they're meeting those requirements. But it's a lot of webcam. It's a lot of fun, and just trying to use the materials that they either receive in their kits or that they have laying around the house to help them get that physical activity in. But it really is a lot of fun.
Thank you, Chelsea. There's a question about math interventionists. The math intervention works kind of like an RTI specialist. They're going to meet with the students, and they're going to work on skills that the student may be struggling on. And you work kind of hand in hand with the gen ed teacher so that they're able to master the material they're currently working on. And then there was a question about, sorry, I'm trying to keep up with questions. Goodness, I love it. We do hire instructional coaches. Those will be posted on our website. They're not specific to Texas. They would be a K-12 position. And then intervention is across all grade levels. We do try and minimize it. So if you're an interventionist, you're usually just middle school, high school, or elementary school, because that's kind of hard to be 3 through 12. So we do have some for each of those grade levels.
I'm
And
also
I think
going to share the other page as well, just showing the other positions we have. I think someone asked about special education, if anyone wanted to kind of touch on that, and then we'll, show them how they can apply as well.
Hey,
We
so,
do. Go ahead.
and I'll pop in for the special ed. I've gotten some individual messages about that. For our special programs, we obviously offer 504. We've got our EL department, special education department, as well as GT. We have department specific teachers that support our students in those areas. For special education specifically, we split into 2 different departments, one being instruction and one being compliance. And so if you are passionate about facilitating ARDS and making sure all the documentation is there, then there are positions, you'll see special education compliance for that. But we also have, obviously, special education teachers on the other side. If you have further questions about that, if you just want to email me, I think I know that Drea and Keisha can go ahead and forward any questions that you have, so I can connect you with that special education department. One other question that I did see come through as it relates to, there were some questions about some waivers provided by Texas given the current COVID situation. One thing that I think is important to realize is that once you move into the virtual school network in Texas, it's a whole new ballgame. So some of the opportunities that brick and mortar may have regarding waivers and lower grade levels and things like that, there are some different policies for the virtual schools based on what's called the TXVSN, the Texas Virtual School Network. So at that point, Texas Virtual Schools, we are only, at this point as of today, now who knows what happens in a month from now, but as of today, the earliest grade level that we can begin with is 3rd grade. So there was a question about having K2. Hopefully one day we'll be able to expand to that point, but right now we begin at grade 3, given the current legislation. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. I also want, before I show you how to apply for positions, I want to just have Megan, which is our recruiter for our Texas school. Megan, if you would like to just introduce yourself to the group and just let them know who you are, and then I'll let them know on how to apply for some of these positions that we have.
Great, Drea. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Payne. I am the academic recruiter for Texas. So I have been with K12 for almost 2 years now, and any and all questions Texas, I am definitely here to help. Getting excited to definitely kick off our 2020-2021 hiring year for Texas and TIVA.
Thanks, Megan. Now, real quick, I'm going to show you all how you can apply for these positions on our website, and then we'll open the floor for more questions. So when you're on our website, which is www.k12.com/careers, that brings up our careers page. You'll be able to see other events that we have going on. You'll also be able to go into our site to just apply. So if you see this picture right here, we have it broke down in 2 categories. So you have school staff or corporate staff. So if you're interested in corporate positions, click on corporate. If you're interested in school positions, click on the school staff. Once you are under school staff, then you will be able to create a profile. From there, you'll be able to it'll say build a presence, which basically means you can add in your updated resume, your certifications, any transcripts that you have into that presence. And then you can go onto the site to search for our positions. Now you can search by state, you can search by job title. If you know the requisition number, you can do that as well. But most of the time you're searching by your state. And so if you can put in Texas, and then it'll show you all of the positions that we have open. And from there, you'll be able to search all of the different positions that we have. But again, please be sure to keep checking on our site, because they will update pretty much daily when we get new positions in. But I just wanted to give you that, just those instructions on how to do that. And I know we have, Keisha has posted some of the positions in our chat, the link, so you can click there to go directly to our site to look at those positions right now. So since we still have a lot of time, and I know we had a lot of people in the room, I want to be able to answer as many questions as we possibly can. So I want to start off, someone had asked about, can you talk about just a typical day in the virtual school? And we can start with our elementary side, and then after you can talk about your day, then middle school and high school, just so they can see any differences that they may have. Kyla, if you wanted to
Sure.
start that, and then we'll continue from there.
Awesome. So we have our mornings or live sessions. We have our kids invited to their group based on their homeroom teacher, and they come in and we teach small group sessions in the morning. Next year, they'll have between 45 minutes and an hour for their main core tested subjects. And then we do those and we give a little bit of a break, and then we go to the next subject, and then we go into the non-tested subjects, which sometimes are every day, sometimes are not. It just kind of depends on the schedule, but the majority of your morning is in live sessions that look very similar to what we're doing right now. And so you've got a PowerPoint up on the board. You have the ability to break out into breakout rooms. So maybe you want to differentiate some of that instruction. So you've got your advanced learners that are going to go into a breakout room, and they're going to work on something that is more advanced, that will pull that string. And then you've got some kids that you need to slow down for a little bit, that you're going to stay in this room right here, and you're going to redo some of the work, and you're going to slow down so that they understand a little bit more. And then as that some of the kiddos in that group start to understand, then you're going to break them out into a breakout room, and they're going to do an extension activity while you continue to slow down with some of the students that you need to do. And then you're constantly throughout the week going to adjust your instruction based on the data that's coming in. So we're very, very data driven. We're constantly looking at the different data that we have coming in, whether it be from MAP or STAR or individual assessments that we have that we're giving to those kiddos on a regular basis throughout the week. And we're monitoring and adjusting based on that specific group of kiddos that we have. Then when we get into the afternoons, we're breaking it down a little bit more. So maybe we have some one-on-one sessions, or maybe we have some small group, maybe 3 or 4 kiddos that we know they just can't read, and we need to have what would be like a reading circle in elementary, where we bring those kiddos in and we're working on some gaps in their learning that they didn't have from previous years before they got to us, that we need to fill in those holes. Or maybe there's some kiddos that have reached out and said, I just don't understand how to divide fractions. And so we've got a group of those kiddos that we need to reteach in a different way, and we're going to work on that in the afternoons. And then after that, we are building those relationships. We are calling those families. If any of you have had to work with your own kiddos during this time that we have right now, you know that it can be hard sometimes to get that communication that you need. And so we're making those phone calls, we're answering those emails, we're pulling families into rooms and helping them with specific questions. We're filling out ARD paperwork, and we're going to ARD meetings. We're having PLC planning meetings in rooms like this with our other teammates. We're making PowerPoints and working on our CMAPs and all of those different things that you would do in a normal brick and mortar classroom. We're working on those things throughout the afternoon. So we have a very full day between 8 and 5. It is not something that, we've had interviews where they're like, we're going to do this on the side. It is definitely not that. It is a full day's work, just like what you would do in brick and mortar, where you are constantly serving students from the time that you come on until the time that you leave, and you're prepping for that day's classes and the next day's classes, and then you're looking ahead to what's going to come. So you're going to do live sessions, and then you're going to support families, and that's what you're going to do throughout the day.
Thanks, Kyla. Daphne, did you want to talk on the middle school side, how that looks, or anything that you all on your end do before we jump to high school?
Sure. Audrey's in here as well. Audrey Phipps is in here. She's one of our middle school teachers, and she is amazing. She can tell you anything you need to know about teaching. Some of just the slight nuances is that at middle school, we have subject specific. Only one subject, you're typically only teaching one subject, I should say. And so you're working with that group of students. We have a little bit different platform at the middle school. We do a D2L based classroom right now. If you know what that is, the Desire to Learn platform. And I think those are the big things. Really, the whole point of everything we do is student focused. It is 100% based on the standards. Are the students mastering the standards? If not, what are we doing to help support them? We have staff meetings, we have PLC time. You are able to watch probably the highlight of when I went to the virtual teaching world was I could go back and watch a recording from my friends or even myself teaching to find out how I could become better. So one of the things that I would highlight is that you constantly have the ability to self-evaluate and self-reflect and continue to grow. Ultimately, it's very similar to what Kyla shared about wanting to intervene with the students. We have small group, we have general sessions where we invite a bigger group of students and you do more of a fun, interactive, homogeneous and heterogeneous groups. We get all those different things. So that is really exciting. And then the only other thing I would add is that at middle school, we don't necessarily have the pod ability like she talked about, but we do have the ability to work very closely with our advisors. And our advisors are probably the best point of contact for us because they're able to work with their group of kids and they're able to help us and support us. As a teacher, you can reach out and things like that. I know there was a question really quick and I'm just going to answer it because it's come up a couple times about special ed. Special ed you do, if you want to be a resource teacher, you need to be certified in the subject as well as the special ed certification. So I know that came up, but we do partner. We have resource teachers. We partner with our special programs. We have EL, we have 504. Everything you can think about in a brick and mortar happens for us here too. So it's all just a matter of doing it differently.
Thanks, Stephanie. And Yvonne, did you want to just talk a little bit about the high school side?
I do, thank you. Hi everyone, Yvonne Sino again, the high school principal. There's really not too much more to add on in addition to what Kyla and Daphne have already shared. We've already shared that, our students, it's not just self-paced, they do follow an instructional schedule that teachers follow as well. We've already covered, the start and end time. But I would like to give we have Amanda Burdick in the room. She's one of our English 2 teachers. She's absolutely phenomenal. So I am going to ask her to go ahead and hop on the mic and just share what a typical day in the life looks like, and even a day just over the course of a week looks like for a high school teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Burdick. I teach English 2, so as most of you know, that's a tested subject. And so my daily schedule starts about 8 in the morning. I'm up checking emails from 8 to 8:30, looking at grades. If students, a lot of my high school students like to work at night, and so have a lot of stuff to grade in the morning when I'm up. My live classes start about 8:30. And I teach from 8:30 till about 11:30 every day, live sessions. This year they ran in 30-minute sessions, but I think next year we're looking to extend our time just a little bit. I'm not sure what the finalized schedule is going to look like. And then after that, take a quick lunch. And then we have open office hours where we can help kiddos whenever they need that. They can come in and get some support and assistance. And then the afternoon is really administrative tasks, grading, data digs, we're really available. The nice thing about being K12 and virtual, that collaborative piece with your teammates, we are available all afternoon to collaborate with each other, to PLC with one another, and we bounce ideas off of each other through Skype all day. So that's really a very nice piece to the virtual world as well. And then like everyone has said, your day really is from 8 to 5. I kind of came into it, and I'll be very honest, thinking, oh, I'll be able to have so much free time during the day. You are a full-time teacher. It is a full-time gig, but you will get a lot of enjoyment out of this job. There's a lot of perks. a lot of benefits to it. And so that's kind of the day in the life of a virtual teacher. And we do that Monday through Thursday at the high school level. So that's kind of what it looks like. And then Fridays is really about PLC. We have our staff meetings, we have department time. And then Fridays you can meet with kids that are struggling in the afternoon if you would like to, or use that time for grading, professional development, and things like that. So that's the life of a high school teacher.
Thanks, Amanda. And I know we have a few more teachers from Texas as well. So I also want to make sure I, give you time to talk. Another question I did have for our teachers, were any of you all brick and mortar teachers before coming to K12? And if so, what was the biggest difference and what was the same? And Rosalind and Audrey, if you wanted to answer, feel free.
I'll jump on, sure. So yes, I was a brick and mortar teacher in a 4th grade bilingual classroom, self-contained, for 7 years, and then came to K12 7 years ago. So I'm finishing up my 7th year with K12. So I've been brick and mortar just as long as I've been virtual now. And yeah, it's definitely different. I felt like my first year virtual was harder than my first year brick and mortar in a lot of ways. There's a big learning curve with all of the different programs that you have to learn. But kids are kids, whether you're teaching them on the computer or you're teaching them face to face. I mean, being able to give them a hug or a pat on the back is something that I missed coming over to virtual. But you find ways to encourage them and give them support, even doing it, through the computer, whether you're in a session like this where you can give them some sweet little emojis and they love that, or sending them something through the mail, or just a little email of encouragement. So there are ways to kind of make that connection with them, even if you're doing it virtually. I think it's definitely been an adjustment going virtual with how much I communicate with the families. And that was a surprising thing for me, going from brick and mortar to virtual. The communication with the parents virtually is way better. And I know the parents of my students and what those households are like way more than I did when I was a brick and mortar teacher. A lot of times it was, the parents drive up and they drop their kids off, the kids run into school, and I don't see them much beyond that. Maybe they come to the parent conference, maybe not, but with virtual teaching, there's just so much that we have to do to reach out to make sure that we have that connection and relationship with them, because they're the ones there with their kids. So that's been a surprising and really positive thing about teaching virtually that's cool. So virtual teaching is definitely, there's things about it. We use t-tests. So we're still, teaching to the teaks, and we're still trying to do all of the things that you do in a brick and mortar setting, but just translating it to virtual. So it's different and it's fun and exciting. I love it. I love teaching virtually. I don't want to go back.
Thanks, Rosalind. Audrey, did you want to just introduce yourself and also give your feelings regarding teaching virtually as well?
Yes, everything that they're saying is spot on. So I don't really know how much more I can add. I'm Audrey. I am a 6th grade social studies teacher. Some of the things that are the same, you do still have, one thing I was worried about was not being able to connect with the families like Rosalind was talking about. I was worried that, I'm not there seeing my kids every day, and it's so much more in depth because you're communicating with them constantly. And so you are on the phone, and I've had so many students and parents just in tears. You just don't realize how much of an impact you're really making on their life. So that was one positive thing that happened. My day is definitely different because of the way that it's structured. I spend a lot of time thinking about how I'm presenting stuff, spending time on my lessons, my PowerPoints, how can I engage the students? Those are things that you have to really think about because they're not there in your class. You don't have you can't just like reach out and be like, okay, here, do this thing really quick. And so it's really helpful to have the extra time to do that, the extra planning time in your day. You have the live session time, which obviously people have talked about. And something else was communication. And then the other thing is have switched to a very data focused teaching model. You're constantly checking and testing and seeing where they are and checking in with them. And in your live sessions, you're pulling them into small sessions, you're doing one-on-one. It gives you a lot of opportunity during your day to reach each of those kids. So that is one good thing about being online as well. So those were kind of the main differences between brick and mortar and online.
Thanks, Audrey. Now, Rosalind, you touched on this a little bit when you were just talking about the differences, but I'll also ask you, Audrey, another question that I was going to ask was, what was the hardest thing to learn for your first year, and how did you get through it?
The hardest thing probably for me was the communication switch. You just don't realize how much you depend on seeing those students every day in class. So switching to and there are some kids that they go MIA and you have to find a way to reach them, and you're texting them and you're emailing and you're calling and you're reaching out to them. So that was something that I had to learn, that I have to actually make myself do. And I have to schedule it in my calendar, like block out time. This is time when I'm going to make my phone calls and make my connections, because it's easy for that time to get away from you. So I definitely have had to learn about planning my day, I guess I should say.
Thanks, Audrey. And I'm going to go back to our slide of our representatives, just so everyone see all who is in the room. I did see a question about training, and someone was asking how that looks, and I was wondering if we could talk about that as well. I'm not sure if Catherine, if you wanted to speak on like the training for the teachers and how that works.
Catherine had to step out, so I can talk about that.
Thanks, Daphne.
So we do have a lot of training. One of the big things that we try and make sure is that our teachers are continually in professional development. They're constantly looking at how to better themselves. But for new teachers specifically, we do actually have a teacher trainer who specifically focuses in on helping you acclimate to the new platform. You will have specific courses through what we call our K12 training, which will walk you through how to use all the different platforms we use. It'll walk you through how to do various things within the platform, so we can set up like intelligent agents and things like that. It'll walk you through all those pieces. You will also get a mentor, and then you have a lead teacher, or you have admin support. It could be a lead teacher, it can be a principal, but you have lots of people you can reach out to. I will tell you, one of my biggest fears when I came over, I know it's been a while since I've taught, but for me, one of my biggest fears was teaching that first live session. One of the cool things you have is because you are on these sessions, you have the ability to Skype a teacher, your mentor, or even a lead teacher or admin while you're in a session if you can't figure something out. And so while you're teaching that first session, it's something we didn't have when we taught in the brick and mortar. You have a lifeline constantly available to you that you can reach out to. So you have lots of support. We also do like 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day check-ins, trying to make sure that you have all the support you need. We do provide different reteaching, because I will tell you, the first couple weeks you do feel information overload, because there is so many things in the first couple weeks that we come back to it. We never just drop it off and like, you need to figure it out. We try and come back occasionally and be like, hey, let's look at this. Let's talk about that. I will tell you that Microsoft Office is a huge piece that we use a lot, especially Excel. If you can get comfortable with Excel, you will feel so much better in this world. let me just tell you. That's probably the biggest thing I've heard from new teachers is, I didn't like Excel and now I can't live without it. So that was a big piece for them to struggle with. But there is so much training we provide, and we have regular PLCs, and you have a team. So for the most part, it's not just you teaching a subject. Yes, there are some that have just one or two people teaching a subject, but there is definitely a team of people that you can get support from. Our students do have access to the Microsoft Suite because with their email address, with their system, we allow them to have it as well. So they have access to it, Office 365.
Thanks, Daphne. I saw a really good question in the chat that I just wanted to be able, just in case people can't see all of that's going on. Someone asked about if any of our teachers online have young children, and how do you manage working from home and childcare, which I think is a really good thing to bring up. And I know now that we're all working from home due to COVID-19. Chelsea, if you could just give
Absolutely.
your light, shed light on your answer, just so everyone can hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my name is Chelsea Pluckstein. I'm the elementary school assistant principal. I was previously the PE teacher, so I spoke to that. And I've been here for 6 years, and I have a 6-year-old. She's about to be 7, a 5-year-old, he just turned 5, and a 1.5-year-old. So do the math. I've had young kids the whole time I've been here. The big thing is to try to have a distraction-free work area, especially while you're live teaching and while you're there for our families. But you can kind of do whatever that means for you. For me, that meant going to my parents' house and my mom would help me wrangle the kids while I was live teaching. Or it meant my mom coming over and helping me with the kids. I think Roslyn has the same thing. And then once they hit, preschool age, it's sending them to preschool, especially because a lot of them are AM and a lot of the teaching hours are AM, so it works. So it's just kind of finding what's right for you, but you do need to have a pretty quiet, distraction-free environment. But family members definitely help. That's me. I don't know if any of our other mommies want to.
And I think it is a balance for you. So know your kids and know your life. We all have a different work-life balance. Daphne told me the story once of how well trained her kids are, that they would walk over to her and they'd place their hand on her shoulder, and that they would wait until she had a pause moment and they would not speak. If you do not have the child that is that well behaved and trained, that can come and place their hand quietly on your shoulder, and you have the child that, like many of us, that can turn the cereal box all over the floor, then that's okay. You know your kiddo. So what is the best solution, like Mother's Day out in the mornings, if that works with the schedule that we show you, for your kiddo while you teach? I don't know that I could have had a toddler running around while I was teaching and been distracted. It would have been a distraction for me. But Chelsea's great at it. Like, she has the support and she can do it. So, and it may be that year 1, you need extra support, and by year 2, you have a system in place. So what you do year 1 may be different than what you do with year 2, and allow yourself that grace that you have to have a learning curve. But it doesn't mean that forever your kids can't be with you. You have to learn the work-life balance that many of you are finding right now while you're dealing with COVID. So there is some flexibility, but like Chelsea said, it's about being able to serve our families in a distracted-free work environment when you are teaching them, so that they know how important they are and that their kids are your top priority. So be prepared to have a backup plan on a backup plan on a backup plan, so that you can be your very best.
Thanks, Kyla. And I'll just read one of the responses. Someone said, they said, your responses about teaching with small children gives me confidence that it can be done. Thank you. So thank you, Lauren, for your response. Another question, because we do have a few more minutes. Do any of our representatives have any children going to K12 online while they teach?
I've done that also. So I have actually traditionally homeschooled with K12, and my son was enrolled in K12. My husband had to be the learning coach. That didn't mean that Mama wasn't involved in what he was doing, but he did work through our program while I did it. Daphne also had her kids in here a year while she did it also. Another thing that can be done while we do it, we believe in what we do. My son is now in college, so I no longer have a student here, but my son did very well. He loved the program. He loved the flexibility. We loved having him home with us. My husband also works at home. It was a great family thing. Let me tell you, the conversations that you have with your kids is night and day different. When my son was in Brick-and-mortar with me and he came home, I'd say, "What did you learn today?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't learn anything at school today." When they're doing this program with you, you're like, "So let's pull out the microscope and look at your slides together." Your whole dinner conversation changes when you're doing this program together, and it brings the family discussion around the dinner table so much deeper. So I encourage you that if this is something you're open to dive in, no matter if you do this job or not.
Skyla.
I saw a couple questions. I started typing and I figured it might be easier to jump on and answer. There was the STAR administration question. It's come up a couple times, so I just want to address it on the microphone so everybody can hear it. We do STAR testing in person. We also do TELPAS testing in person. We do all that in person. So what we typically do is we'll rent out locations like convention centers, things like that, and you'll go to the local site, you'll help administer the testing there. The kids come and take the test in person. It is required. They do take it on a computer, but it is on a computer that we provide them that is at the site for them. They cannot take it from home. The state of Texas has not allowed that yet. We always ask, but that wouldn't happen necessarily yet. So they do come in, they do take the test in person. So that is something you would have to be out of office for. And as you know, it's all hands on deck for state testing. Everybody helps. So even if I am a middle school teacher and the December testing dates are just for high school, I may be called on to go to that testing because it's important for all of us to be able to support us because we're across the whole state. So keep that in mind too. We have 10,000 students spread across the entire state of Texas that have to get testing. So we may end up showing up at different sites. Also with outings and testing, we do those in person. We try and give you those days early, and we typically will give you a specific mile ratio that you'll drive. So we try to make sure, it's within a decent amount of mileage. And if it's over so many miles, we do reimburse mileage, but we do try and provide support as much as we can with that.
Thank you, Daphne. I did see in the chat people were asking about pay scales, and I just want to read what Megan said just so you can, just in case you weren't able to see it in chat. But the pay scales are based off of years of experience and degrees earned. But if you have specific questions about salary, you'll need to you can feel free to email Megan, who's our recruiter for this school, at mpayne. M is in Mary, P is in Paul, A is in Apple, E is in Edward, N is in Nancy at K12.com. So I just wanted to address that over the microphone. Specific questions, you will have to send an email. I know for the last couple questions, I wanted to address, someone was asking about the alternate, someone asked, could you touch on those trying to complete their alternate certification and have a statement of eligibility? And I think Catherine stepped away, but if any of our principals could.
We are looking for fully certified teachers based on the laws in the state of Texas. Okay. So you would need to have your certification.
Thank you. All right. Someone was asking, what class is reaching your academic potential?
Yes, this is the College Readiness and Study Skills course.
Okay.
And it is a high school course.
All right. Let's see. Any other final questions before we in for today? Just so you know, to those who, if you joined later, this session has been recorded, so you'll be able to go back and review what we went over, just talking about the school in general, and just the question and answer portion. It has been recorded, so I just want to make everyone aware. And I don't.
Drea, there is someone who asked if they could explain the hiring process. If Megan can kind of address what happened.
Sure. Megan, if you could touch on the hiring process before we wrap up.
Yes, absolutely. So once you submit an application online, we review it, make sure that you have met all of the qualifications, including the certification, that you are a resident of Texas, and that you do have experience teaching that course or that class. And then afterwards, we move you to HireView. Now, HireView is a digital interview in which you are asked a series of 8 questions, and you are recording those answers. It gets us used to that flow of working digitally and using that technology. After you complete that HireView interview, all of our principals and their hiring team have access to evaluate that interview. They're going to look at it, evaluate it, and if it's someone that they're interested in interviewing, they will reach out and either do a phone interview or a Zoom interview, and then kind of get into a little bit more detail about if you would be a good fit for that school, that role.
Thanks,
So
Megan.
I just want to answer this question because it's come up twice in the chat, and in all the interviews for the last 5 years, it comes up every time too. So the question is, do you pay into TRS? No, we do not pay into TRS. We pay into a 401k. This doesn't, we work with Hallsville, but you work for K12. So there is a little bit of a difference with the teacher retirement system for Texas.
Thanks, Stephanie, for answering that. All right.
Andrea, I did want to add, if there's any additional questions, feel free to email me. My email is m and then mpayne@k12.com. So M is in Megan, and then Payne is in my last name, and we can definitely go into a little bit more detail about any of those questions that you do have.
And I'm just going to put the email address in the chat again.
There's a great last question. When does school start?
Great question. New teachers come back end of July, so I believe it's July 27th. So we bring them back a little bit before our returning teachers, so that way you can get a jump start on some of that training. Our returning teachers, I believe it's August 5th, and then school does not start till August 17th.
Okay, great. Well, I do want to thank all of our representatives today. I know some had to leave early, but I do want to say thank you to Kyla, Chelsea, Rosalind, Daphne, Audrey, Yvonne, Amanda. Thank you all for, giving your insight and just telling us more about Texas Virtual Academy Hallsville. I want to thank all of our guests that came today. I hope you got something out of this session. Please note that we have recorded this, so we will be sending this out to our attendees. But again, I want to thank you all for joining our meet and greet, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope you come back to some of our other events that we have coming soon. So thank you all again. Have a great afternoon.